Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you're all doing well. Today I've got a collaboration with a bunch of girls and we are doing a techniques collaboration. I think there's about 15 of us. We all love our nails and I think this is a fantastic collaboration. So how it works is that we have all picked a different technique to show. We're not allowed to do the same technique as each other and it was free choice, so what I've chosen to do is marbling with gel polish. So I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that you can do this. Marble nails obviously very popular and very much requested and they look absolutely stunning, so that's what I decided to go with. I'm going to try and do somewhat of a set of nails. I've got my hand all prepped here with some nails on. I know she's looking a bit battered now, but she's taken a lot of abuse from me. But anyways, I hope you all enjoy the video. Definitely go and check out all the other girls' videos. There's so many amazing techniques being shown and lots to learn. I'm sure I'm going to learn quite a few things watching them myself. So definitely go and check all of those out. I'll try and link what I can down in the description box below. But anyhow, let's get into the video. Okay, so I'm going to be working with my Beetles Perfect 20 collection. If you watch my videos, you'll know that I absolutely love Beetles gel polish and I do reach for that more than I do any of my other gel polishes. I have gone with this selection of colours. We've got like a light blue, white, a darker blue, a gold and a silver. I'm going to try and use all of these colours for each nail that I do, but I'm going to be using different techniques of doing marbling with gel polish. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the index finger and I'm just going to apply a very thin coat of this Beetles gel polish in 335 and then cure that for 60 seconds. And in the meantime, while that's curing, I'm just going to dab a little bit of these polishes onto my little palette here. So I'm using 340, which is sparkly silver, 334, which is a light blue, and 325, which is a white. Okay, so I've given it a second coat as well and just cured that for 6 seconds just to make it a bit more opaque. But I'm going to go in with the third coat. But this time I'm not going to cure it, I'm literally just going to leave it wet, like so. Try and even that out a bit more. And then for the first marbling technique, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a tiny amount of this blue. I'm going to go like central with it. I'm going to clean off my brush just because I want sort of quite thin lines to the marble. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull it like so. It just sort of adds that little effect. And obviously the sort of more vivid you want the marble effect, the more gel polish you add. But it's just all about pulling it the right way. I always clean off my brush quite regularly when doing this sort of marble. And obviously the more you put your brush through that line of marble, the sort of more faded into the other colour it's going to be. So bear that in mind if you're wanting a vivid sort of marble effect. But if you want it more subtle, you can just simply go like that and it'll sort of blend in with that wet sort of dark blue polish that I've got down there a bit more. And then I've wiped off my brush again, so I'm going to go in with a different colour. I'm just going to go in with a little bit of white, but I don't want too much white, so I'm going to go there, there and there. Again, just wiped off my brush and then I'm just pulling that through whichever way I want it to be, like so. And then once you're happy with your design, just simply pop it underneath the lamp. I'm going to cure this and then I'm going to add the silver on afterwards. Okay, so that's cured like so. So I'm going to go in with some silver, and I like to use a bit of shimmer when I'm doing marble like this, just to sort of highlight particular points. So I only go in real thin, like so, just a tiny little subtle shimmer. So there we go. And the reason I cured the gel polish before adding the silver is just simply because I didn't want to move the gel polish. I already placed it all. I was happy with how it was. I didn't want the colours to blend too much. So I've cured them and then just simply highlighting with a bit of silver. And I find it adds a really nice effect to the nail. So I'm just going to go ahead and cure that again now. Okay, and then I'm just going to give it a top coat with this Dr. Mode top coat I'm currently using that I bought off Amazon. It comes in a 15ml bottle and I think it only cost me £7. So far I'm really liking it. Okay, so that is the first method. I personally really love this method. I think it's really effective and gives off that proper marble vibe. I particularly like these colours of it as well, so it kind of reminds me of like lightning bolts. But yeah, that is a really easy technique and absolutely love it. Okay, for the next technique I'm going to be using all four of these colours and also a square headed brush, which I'd normally use for hard gel, but I do also use it for this technique. So what you want to do here is just sort of pick up a bit of your colour from each different colour onto your brush like so. This method's one of them where you can't really ever tell how it's going to sort of turn out. You've just sort of got to go with it and see what happens. And you just pick up more paint as and when you need it. The thing is with this technique is you've got to be careful not to disturb it too much because it'll just make the colours blend. So however it turns out is sort of kind of how you've got to leave it. And it definitely does use quite a bit of polish. But as you can see, I'm sort of just like jimmying the brush down. I'm just giving it a little bit of a wiggle just to sort of get more sort of wiggly lines. Okay, so I'm just going to cure that and get some more paint on my palette. Okay, so I've got more paint and I have also cleaned off my brush a bit, just simply because the colours are likely to blend on your brush as well. So it's always nice to go in with a nice fresh brush. And now that has cured, I'm just going to go in with the same thing again, just pick up a little bit of each colour on my brush. And then start off again and just sort of go over the bits where I want to add more effect. And there we go, I'm just going to whack that in the lamp to cure again. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of gold with this one, sort of similar how I did the last nail, where I'm just going to use my detailer brush to sort of add a bit more definition and just sort of highlight certain points. So I do admit this really isn't my favourite way of marbling at all. Definitely not a preference of mine, because like I said, you don't really know how it's going to turn out. You just don't quite have as much control with this method as you do with some other methods. Like, I personally quite like doing marbling with Sharpies. That's always been quite a favourite of mine, and that is my preferred method. I have got videos doing that on my channel if you'd like to know how that works. But this can be a really effective method sometimes, but it's just one of those that's sort of a bit touch and go. So I don't really tend to do this method all that much. It kind of reminds me of sort of like a geode more than anything, this sort of method, rather than marbling. But yeah, I'm just going to whack that in the lamp again, and then I'm going to top coat it, and I'll be right back. Okay, so that is that one. So like I said, this really isn't my favourite method, because I never really like the way it turns out. I've seen quite a few people do this method, and it's just not for me personally. But like I said, it's all one of those. Sometimes it can turn out really great, other times not so much. But I'll show you the design again, but on my flexi finger. So it's just all about how it's pulled, the colours you're using, and it can just be a bit of a pain personally. I don't know, I like to have more control when I'm doing stuff like this. So for me, I find this sort of technique quite a faff. It can look so effective sometimes, don't get me wrong. But other times it can be a right pain. And it just doesn't turn out how you want it to, and it uses a lot of gel polish as well. But I know there's a lot of people out there that absolutely love this technique. So it's one of them. If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, it's not. It's as simple as that, really. But yeah, this technique, I do feel like you're using a lot of unnecessary gel polish as well. And then obviously, like, it can be a bit lumpy and bumpy as well, so it's not particularly even. So you do find yourself having to buff it down quite a bit as well. So, and you have got to be so careful with it as well. But yeah, just whack that on the lamp and top coat it again. Okay, so yeah, that is that technique. That one turned out better than the first one. I think maybe just using like 2-3 colours at the most is probably the better option for it. But like I said, it's not my favourite technique, but if it's for you, it's for you. Okay, similar to the first nail, I'm going to go in. I've gone in with one coat and cured it, but I'm going to go in now with another coat. But I'm going to leave it wet, just like I did with the first nail that I've done. Unfortunately, I'm running really low on white gel polish. I'm literally scraping the bottle and I don't have any more, which is a bit boring, so I'll have to order some more. Okay, and obviously I haven't cured that yet, but I'm going to go in with my detailer brush again. And this time I'm going to go in with the dark blue. But a very, very small amount on the brush, and I'm just going to draw the lines that I want for the marble. And then with a clear brush, I have put some top coat on here. So I've got my clean brush, and I'm just going to go in with the top coat on the brush and just go back over those lines. It sort of just softens them and blurs them a bit more. So I'm also cleaning off my brush after every single time that I run it through a line as well. So I like this method simply because you have a lot more control than what you do with the other method that I showed you on the middle finger there. Obviously you can just sort of like guide where you want your lines to be, rather than just sort of seeing what happens, which is obviously more preferred in my opinion. And obviously having a wet base sort of helps be able to sort of clean it up a bit in places if you want to move the lines over a bit. And yeah, like I said, it just gives you more control and it helps blur the lines because they're blended in nicely with that base colour. And yeah, this way you can just sort of keep playing until you're sort of happy with how it looks. And I'm just going in with a bit more white down there. So as you can see, I do spend quite a lot of time faffing about with marble. I always do, because I'm never really quite happy with how it looks. The good thing about this method as well, if you don't quite like something, you can literally just sort of like brush it and kind of like smooth it out and get rid of those particular lines. Obviously it does make the background that little bit darker. It's not quite the white that it originally was. Okay, and then there you go. I'm just going to whack that one in the lamp. So there we go, that is another technique to doing marbling with gel polish. That's one of my more preferred techniques, just because you can play with it a lot more and it just looks like proper marble. Very similar to this method here, but just slightly different way of doing it. But I will show you another way of doing that quickly as well on my finger. So this method is literally virtually the same, but just like before, put a coat or two down, cure it, and then put another coat down, but don't cure it, ignore the mess I'm making here. But what I just wanted to quickly show you is you don't always have to put the colour on and then top coat, of course. You can just literally get a bit of colour, mix it together in some top coat. You want it to be like fairly sheer, you don't want it to be too opaque. Really thin amount on your brush. And then again, you can literally just sort of squiggle a little bit to sort of create the effect that you're after. And then if like you find a line's a bit too sharp, you can literally just go over that line again with a nice clean brush and just let it blend in with that white background a bit, and it'll just soften it up. See, that's very subtle, but it's basically the same as the other one, except you can just literally mix the top coat and the colour together and just go ahead and do it like that if you choose. Okay, so there's that one. It's kind of subtle but sharp at the same time, but you sort of can get the idea of the technique I've used there. Definitely more of like a proper marble effect, and definitely one of my more preferred methods. Okay, so just once more, I've decided to grab another one, do some different colours. So I've got my Elite 99 polish. It's number 90544. And same again, just like the others. I've painted, cured, and then I've painted another one and simply left it wet. And then I'm just going in with my white polish. And there we go. So I've not actually used any top coat or anything with that, just simply gel polish. And just kept going over these lines, just sort of blend them in with the base a bit more, which just sort of softens them, makes them look quite as vivid. And you get quite a nice little effect. So there's that one. Very sort of feathery kind of look to it. But yeah, that's no top coat, no nothing, literally just gel polish and a brush. Just smoothed in and sort of blended in together. Not the best, but it's just sort of another way of doing it without top coat and everything. Okay, so then the last method is just simply dabbing on some colours. And then just using your brush to sort of kind of drag it around. Okay, so there you go. I'm just going to whack that one in the lamp and cure it and then top coat it again, and we'll be right back. Okay, so that's all 4 of the different techniques I have used today. As you can see, they're all very similar along the same kind of lines, but you do get different effects depending on how you go about it. I personally prefer the techniques for the ring finger and the index finger, but there's many different ways. They're all very similar, but there's many different ways of marbling with gel polish. You can also obviously marble with Sharpies, which I really like that method, and you can marble with like acrylic, and you can do water marbling, and there's many different ways around marbling with nail art. But yeah, I hope you like my little technique video that I've done for you today. I know I'm not the greatest at doing tutorials, it's not really my thing. I've not really done tutorials on my channel. I've done a couple of short little ones when I first started doing YouTube, but other than that, I don't really talk a lot while I'm doing nail art, so I sort of got my head in it and I'm sort of concentrating, so I don't tend to talk. But I hope I've been somewhat informative today and helpful. And yeah, make sure you go and check out all the other girls' videos. There's some great techniques being shown and I can't wait to watch the videos myself. So yeah, definitely go and check them out. I will leave what information I can down in the description box. And yeah, I hope you've all enjoyed this video. Much love to you all, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye!